Told you no sooks, no lefties, and yes, one of them is wearing pearls, and it is none other than the great Cory Bernardi, of course, my colleague here at Sky News. Oh no, it's Senator Holly Hughes in Canberra for her sins. Lovely to see you, and what
Very
a set they
cheeky.
are, my love. What a set they are.
Oh,
all right,
darling, only for you.
Thank you, thank you. Now, Cory, I want to ask you a rather open-ended question, which is why do you think Albo is falling so fast? We all know that first-term governments have wobbles, but as even the Redbridge people are starting to say, the runway is running out very quickly, because once the perception kicks in that, say, you don't have empathy, as the polls told us about the previous government, or you are incompetent, as the focus groups tell us about this government, you can't undo it. It doesn't matter how much bribing, it doesn't matter how much chatting, it doesn't matter how many slogans you come up with. If they don't think you're up to the job, you're not up to the job.
Yeah, Paul, there's a lot of reasons why, but essentially it comes down to this. I think it's because Anthony Albanese is a phony. He's pretended to be everything that he's not in order to get the job. I don't think he's the sharpest tool in the shed, so that's the first thing. But secondly, he was always of the hard Labor left. He then pretended he was some sort of sensible centrist or some moderate in the Labor Party. That's not true. He did the classic things, lost a lot of weight in order to be more presentable, but it didn't sort of cover up the laziness that's attached to him as a politician. He was more interested in drinking beers and DJing than actually dealing with the hard things. And remember, his mantra was always about smashing Tories, fighting Tories. That's what he wants to do. He's a class warfare animal. And now he's in the top job, and he's made all these promises. He can't deliver on it because his team is incompetent. They're all chosen because of factional hacks or some sort of allegiance to a union. And the country's going backwards. And you know what? He doesn't care. He's on a plane at 30,000 feet. Leaders don't lead from 30,000 feet. They lead from the front, and they front and centre and level with the Australian people. And he's not doing any of those things.
Yeah, Holly, different version of the question to you, though, which is that obviously the general arc of Australian politics is that we fall out of love with the government and then we just start to get frustrated, then we start looking for an alternative, and then they start to commit to the alternative. How important is it that the Liberal Party actually puts forward not just a series of complaints about the country, but some solutions to the problem? Now, again, you're not about to screed them all on telly right now, but the middle class that's in a world of trouble right now, I think it needs to hear, if it came your way sooner rather than later, what are the actual plans to fix it? Because I think otherwise, you get what happened to the Republicans in the midterms, which is, no red wave turns up because all that was on offer was a whole series of reasons why you shouldn't vote for the current mob. At what point does the Liberal Party have to be able to look people in the eye and say, this is what changes if you change the government?
Yeah. And look, I think there's two parts to that question. I mean, when we lost government, it was only 18 months ago. It's not unusual for a political party to go through a period of reflection, but usually that reflection also involves a little bit of disquiet and unsettledness, which we haven't seen since Peter Dutton has taken on the leadership. It's been a very focused and a very united coalition team, and we certainly remain that way. There was a lot of talk earlier in the year that Albanese might go early to an election next year before WA and Queensland had their state elections. I think that's passed. I think he's going to hang on for as long as he can. So we're probably still 18 months away from the next election. So we absolutely agree and are preparing policies that we will take to the Australian people. I accept, and we all accept, that it's not enough to say, look at how bad they are. And in fact, I don't even think we need to say it at the moment. Every Australian is feeling it in their hip pocket, and yet when they look for some leadership, there's none to be found. So Australians are already starting to see the gross incompetence of this government. We will certainly be putting forward over the next 12 to 18 months, so you'll start to see it from next year. We're probably not going to do a big dump on Christmas Eve of policies, we'll probably let everyone have a bit of a break. But from next year, I'm sure you'll start to see our alternative policies rolling out, and you'll see what an alternative competent government will look like under Peter Dutton versus this rabble.